Hello, my beautiful friends. We're trying something out just a little different this month here in this space, and it's something that I think has been culminating for a little while, which is I'm going to do an introduction to each season as the sun moves into each sign. And as Aries is the first sign in the Western astrological system with the equinox and the beginning of the new year in regards to that kind of spring-based, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, new beginnings, I thought Aries would be the perfect place to start. So the plan here is that I'm going to give you some of the key notes for me that I feel like are coming up intuitively about the upcoming season. And then we will go through the aspects and I'll give you a sense of some of the flavors we're going to be working with. And what's really nice about this is I feel like I can take some extra time to walk you through those transits, walk you through those conversations, walk you through those dates and moments. And I think this is going to allow me to, for the monthly readings for each sign, focus more on the intuitive wisdom that wants to come through. And then you have this as a reference if you're curious about more of the specific dates and how things are moving around and what the energies are. I also think it's just fun to explore each energy, each archetype, because we all have different relationships with different of these archetypes. Some of us have stronger understanding than others of each sign. We all have our strong points. And I think it's really fun to sometimes just come back to basics, explore an archetype, explore an energy. And I always have my own spin on every single one of these energies, one that I think is a little bit outside of the pop astrology world, and ways to work with it that I think can be a little more helpful and bring a little bit more of the heart back into each of these energies, because really we want to have a strong and clear connection with each one of these energies, even if it isn't the strongest one in our chart, or even if we don't have a personal relationship to it. Because the more we explore each archetype, the more we explore each energy within ourselves, the more we become well-rounded, the more we are able to be a part of this world in a way that feels supportive. So let's just get into it with Aries season. This is probably going to be one of my favorite signs to kind of myth bust a little bit. Because I think Aries has such a strong presence. It is a very strong sign. And I think even people who maybe don't know a ton about Aries just know this energy. It is a vibrant, bright, powerful energy. And Aries that have been with me for a little while know I have a big crush on this energy. I think it is so inspiring. It gives me life. As somebody with a lot of Leo and Sag energy, I really love Aries energy. But it is a kind of notorious sign, right? Because it's the first sign of the zodiac. There's a lot of jokes in pop astrology about being I am baby and very self-centered, very stubborn, argumentative, intense, right? Those are kind of the key words that often come up when we're making jokes and memes about Aries. And I'm all for a good joke. But I think it's so important to, let's acknowledge though, the power and the beauty of Aries and what we're really doing with this energy and why it's important for each of us to connect with the energy of Aries in our lives. Aries is also connected with this concept of I am. It's about being born into the world as this and experiencing the world as this individual being, right? And while we are connected to this web of life, this web of energy, and we're all part of this weaving, and we aren't really alone. We're not really individuals in a very cosmic sense. Aries is going to acknowledge that we are indeed, though, going to have to find a way to be I am in this world. Aries energy is about the initiator. This is the person that's going to take that first step into an unknown territory while everybody else watches. This is strong leadership energy. And while yes, there is a shadow side of any energy, right? The shadow side could be being really hot-headed, stubborn, thinking we're always doing things the right way, being a little impulsive, wanting to just get into action-based movement through the world, right, without thinking things through or considering others. Those are all the shadow sides. But for me, when we are connected to Aries energy, and I have a lot of Aries friends, and I really, really love them so much. They are the tenderest hearted people the most beautiful, giving people, and the people who are going to help you get stuff done in life. Like, the Aries people in my life are so helpful for me. And just, if I have something on my mind, they will just help me get that ball rolling and show me how possible it is to move on things. And I think that's what's so important about Aries energy. It's about connecting with the spark of curiosity, the curiosity that's so strong that we go and we try, we show up and we explore. It's a sense of this warm fire energy that is in our core, that we can go back to time and again for resiliency, curiosity, creativity, exploration, and just having like the brazenness to exist in this life. And when it's healthily activated, it's a very warm and playful energy. It's very curious and open and wants to connect. This is also going to be a determined, strong energy. I wrote so many notes about this because I feel so passionately about it. One of the other kind of stereotypes of Aries energy is that these are going to be the people who want all the attention, all the spotlight on them. And yes, I do know some Aries like that, and I love them dearly. They are adorable, and I have no problem with it. I know plenty of Aries energy that is also very private, very quiet, very perceptive, very able to take in the surroundings. And yes, they take action and they move through life, but they don't necessarily make a lot of noise. So I think it's also important to recognize that there is a quiet core to Aries energy that is, it's not about talking a big game. It's just doing, quietly making things happen. And I think that's a really healthy, activated energy that isn't so much about the performance as just the being in the flow, right? I think Aries energy is so important in our world right now too, to rebalance and think about how we are connecting with this kind of individual fire that we each carry within ourselves. Right now, Chiron is in Aries as well. And anybody who has strong Aries in their chart has been doing this healing around armoring up, around protecting themselves, or around being like very harsh with their boundaries, or just being in kind of the wounded warrior mode. So this is an important energy in our world as a whole when it comes to being these wounded frontline people in general in living this life, and especially if you have Aries energy. And I think one of the ways that we can help to start heal this world is to start to have a healthy activation of Aries energy in each one of ourselves, healthy activation of I am energy. And I am energy that is healthily activated. It's not going to need to grasp and pull everything in and say, this is mine and I'm trying to survive, right? That more survival concept of us as individuals who are kind of alone in the world, just scrambling for survival, right? That's the kind of shadow pain side of that individual I am energy. Healthy activated Aries energy is going to be about respecting that action doesn't just look like controlling and forcing everything to happen really swiftly. It's also going to look like knowing when to rest. It's also going to look like knowing when to just say, I can't right now. It's also going to look like very subtle, small initiations that happen very subtly over the course of many weeks and months. It's going to acknowledge the way that we take initiatory action that is not about kind of like the big movie-like moments all the time, but is going to honor the I am moments where we get present with our bodies. We come into our core. We come into our self-confidence, our self-trust, and take action from there. And that for me is the dream, is to have more of that type of energy in the world. It is about it being an empowered individual and a strong person who can show up and try things and go out there, open that door, see what happens next, throw something up against the wall and see if it sticks. That's the kind of energy. But we want to come at it not from a place of forcing ourselves, not from a place of trying to control every single outcome, but from a place of knowing that each little time we try and explore and get curious, we are already doing everything we need to do. So that is really going to be the key emphasis here. Now, this Aries season, there's a ton of conjunctions going on. A lot of energy will be pouring into Aries in the early weeks of Aries season, but we're also still going to be working with a bit of energy in Pisces. We're going to be working with a little bit of energy in Aquarius, and slowly but surely we're also going to move into some new energies. No, that's pretty much it, actually. I'm like looking at my notes. There's a lot to cover here. It's going to be a focus on Piscean energy, on Aries energy, a little bit of Aquarian energy, and a little bit of Taurus, a tiny touch of Taurus this month. So this is really interesting to me, though, because there is going to be a lot of action with Mercury, Jupiter, and Neptune working over in Pisces during this Aries season. Aries season, by the way, starts March 20th and goes till April 19th when the sun moves into Taurus. So during this Aries season, we are still going to be working with the magic of both Jupiter and Neptune, exploring Piscean energy. They are going to have a conjunction this month. Let me see. Jupiter and Neptune are conjunct on the 12th. Mercury will pass by both of those earlier in the month as well. And so we're going to be working still with the expanded part of ourselves that is the dreamer, that is the explorer, that is the more dissolved self, that isn't so focused on the physical or on being in that action-minded place. But I really like this dynamic between a balance between the part of ourselves that's a bit less motivated by the world and being in the world and taking action, is more motivated by spirit, by religion, like spiritual reflection and introspection, by the sense of connectedness, by the sense of like feeling held by something really big. And I think this is important because when you have that piece of the puzzle, it makes coming here to be in our physical bodies and take action much more joyful, much easier, and much healthier. And I think that's going to be a really, really big assistance to us during this specific Aries season here in 2022, because we're going to be having that help, that support, that dreaminess from behind the scenes. Now, of course, we're going to have the sun moving through Aries. Mercury is going to quickly join up with the sun in Aries a little bit after Aries season begins. They conjunct on April 2nd. This is really playful energy. Sun, first of all, is exalted in Aries. So the sun just feels really good here. This is playful, expansive, curious energy. It's always a natural placement for the sun. Mercury in Aries, this is also playful, dynamic, wanting to kind of flirt, talk, explore, have fun, being a little seductive with our lives. This is very creative energy. It's a great way to kind of initiate the new year. What else is coming? The new moon is also going to be happening on March 31st / April 1st. So April Fool's new moon. So this new moon is also going to be activating new dreams, new initiations, new energy. And it's very energizing, all of this. New moon, Mercury, Sun moving through Aries. We are also going to have a very interesting conjunction this month. Now, I'm just going to skip over to a whole other part of this month, which is that Mars and Saturn are going to meet up. They're going to meet up on April 4th in Aquarius. And Mars and Saturn are an odd pair. They're very much like the odd couple in some ways. Mars, which actually rules Aries, is very action-oriented, wants to move on things, wants to break things open and get going. And Mars in Aquarius specifically is going to be about like trying different things, not doing things by rote. And then Saturn, who is home in Aquarius and kind of represents the side of Aquarius that is more consistent and devoted, which is a very big part of Aquarian energy, is like, hold on. I want to think about this. I want to explore this. I want to make sure that I've got all my ducks in a row. So we are going to be working around the time that the Sun and Mercury are hanging out together in Aries. We're also going to be dealing with Mars and Saturn having this conversation about the gas pedal or the brake pedal. But I really like conjunctions like this because what this is going to help us do, and I think it's a part of the calibration of Aries season. And that's an important word I think we were going to want to think about a lot during this Aries season, calibration. Finding a beautiful meeting point between the part of ourselves that is out in spirit, that is floating, that doesn't really care about getting results down here, and the part of ourselves that cares a lot and wants to move on things and wants to help heal things and wants to make things right in the world. There's going to be a calibration there. This Mars and Saturn conjunction Aquarius is also a calibration where we really reconsider how we're using our Martian force in the world. Are we forcing things? Are we controlling things? Are we trying to make and force things to happen on a timeline that we think is correct? This is going to be the first week of April is going to be a time where we're going to be thinking about where we're putting our energy and getting really honest. And this is tricky because we can sometimes have blind spots about where we think we have to put our energy. And we'll get very committed to saying, I have to put my energy into this project. I have to put my energy into continuing this same routine. And so this is going to be a really, really great time to get extremely honest with where you're putting your energy, how you are using it. And if there are places where you have been pouring tons of energy, tons of anxiety, tons of worry, tons of rigidity, just kind of holding yourself tight, trying to make something happen, this is going to be a great time to reconsider why and how, and if we want to keep making ourselves tight and rigid. Once again, the shadow side of working with a lot of Aries energy and even a lot of Aquarian energy at times is wanting to kind of control and make happen. And there's a beautiful part of ourselves that's ready to just get in there and try our best, right? But we want to be careful that we're not just holding ourselves in tension just to feel as though we are pursuing it in some kind of worthy way, because we have been taught for so long in this version of the world that's very consumeristic and very fast-paced that things are worthwhile when we suffer over them, when we struggle over them, when we have a war inside of ourselves. And once again, like this Aries season is about putting down the weapons inside of ourselves, putting down and like ending the war inside of ourselves. And this is going to be a really, really big theme this entire Aries season. It's so important we do that work. It makes a difference, especially in a world where war is, it's present, isn't it? It's really there. We have to start putting the weapons down inside of ourselves. That's something that we can do, right? We may not have the control over all the diplomacy and all the ways that leadership works in this world, but we can put down the weapons inside of ourselves. So this is going to be important this month and in this Aries season specifically, especially as Chiron is working in Aries. And it has been for many years at this point. Okay, I also want to mention that Venus is moving into Pisces this month. Venus will be moving into Pisces on April 5th. And Venus in Pisces is exalted here, which means that Venus just loves being in Pisces. This feels so good. The dreaminess, the exploration. This is about compassion, humanity, like being compassionate with all of humanity, healing, exploring, being hospitable, being warm. And isn't that some energy we need right now? And here's where that calibration is happening. We have all this playful, curious, let's go energy in Aries. And we also have this very important compassion, humanitarian energy still going very strong in Pisces the entirety of this Aries season. So it's really important that we acknowledge that that's still happening. We still have a foot over in Pisces. And in fact, Mars is also going to enter Pisces on April 14th. This is going to amplify the way that we act, the way that we move in the world is going to be more influenced by this Piscean energy, in that it's going to be about how we can help each other and how we can have more kindness, more compassion in our movements, in the way we move through the world, less biting pressure constriction, harshness. And these are really, really important healing modalities at this time. And I think it's so interesting to have that layered on top of all the playful Aries energy. As we get close to the end of Aries season, we're going to have a full moon in Libra. This is going to be about communication, connection, clarity of communication. Diplomacy is going to be very highly reflected upon here during this full moon. And that's going to be close to the end of Aries season on the 16th. And then the sun moves into Taurus on the 19th. So much to cover. I feel like I was a little nervous to try and get it all out there. So it's a potent and important Aries season for our world as a whole. Once again, the sun's moving through Aries, but so is Chiron. This is a time to heal our battle wounds. This is a time to end the war inside of ourselves. And it is a time of expanded compassion, a sense of humanitarian goodness, connection, and healing. It's such a crucial part of this Aries season this year, and one that really requires us to be both here in the physical and also in the spiritual, but isn't that always the case? So I'm going to pull a few cards for the month. It's just over 4 weeks. It's about 4.5 weeks, but we're going to pull 4 cards. So we'll just kind of get a sense of the waves of energy. Knight of Swords. That makes a lot of sense. I will say that Sun moving into Aries where it's a lot more comfortable. Mercury moving to Aries where I think it's also more comfortable. This is going to be very clear, direct energy. A lot of answers coming through. Page of Cups. There's our second week. That's kind of when we get into April and we're starting to work with things like Venus and Pisces. We're starting to work with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces as well. 8 of Pentacles, getting to work, working on our craft, slow and steady. As we get to the middle or like the third week in Aries season, and then finally Temperance, balance. Crucial energy. Oh, I love the Temperance card. One of my favorite energies. Okay, so let's go through this. Like I said, beginning of Aries season, off. Let the races begin. It's like that shot that they fire at the beginning of a race. So a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of quick movement, a lot of big conversations, maybe clarity, just busting through. Knight of Swords is a very honest energy, kind of blunt, to the point, cuts right through any BS, which can be harsh or reassuring depending on how you grew up and what trauma you have. But Knight of Swords in general, I think can be really helpful because it does help us to get information, get clarity on things that have felt maybe stalled or stuck, energy that has felt a bit cramped up or unable to move. Knight of Swords is kind of that breakthrough energy where something happens, you can start moving on things again. So this is really nice energy to see. We are working with a lot of direct motion during Aries season this year. So it's going to be a time where action feels a little bit more natural, a little bit more in step and in line. Now we do have Page of Cups here as we enter into Aries, or into April, and once again, Venus will be in Pisces at this point. Jupiter and Neptune will be very close together. We're going to be working with a lot of that watery wisdom behind the scenes. Page of Cups is known to bring good blessings, good tidings, good news, often with the people we love the most and those that are around us the most. The Page of Cups is also offering up compassion. So not only can we expect to maybe get compassion and love from others, this is also going to be a reminder to ourselves during April that we can also offer up that cup of compassion, that cup of, the fish, the watery wisdom, the love, the care. This is a healing card in so many ways. It's about reminding ourselves that we're each only like a handing of compassion out into the world from feeling deeper connection and healing. And so often we feel unworthy of offering compassion. We so often hold ourselves tight, especially after the last couple of years and right now in the world with the tensions going on. Page of Cups can help us to reopen and re-expand. And that is an influence of Piscean energy. Now, as we get to the second half of Aries season, I'm seeing this theme of proactive, deliberate choice. Eight of Pentacles is such a great card. It reminds me of what I said at the beginning of our chat, that really healthy activated Aries energy is going to acknowledge all the different types of action and initiation we can take. It's not just going to be the big, splashy, wild, free movements that we can write about in our journal and make into a screenplay. It's also going to be the initiatory moments we take that are very quiet and subtle and maybe have no witnesses, no connection to the rest of the world. It can be us just sitting down and writing those 5 sentences to begin the new book or the new blog or the new song, whatever it is. The Eight of Pentacles is about slow and steady wins the race. Consistency is the thing that we are wanting, and that is how we're going to master what it is we are after. Small details and little steps actually build into something beautiful. So if you've been feeling discouraged or like you just don't know where to begin, you don't know how to heal this world, you don't know how to begin the creative beauty that you want to bring to the world, you don't know how to make that community or that friendship or whatever it is, you don't know how to be that I am in the world that you really know is true in your soul. The Eight of Pentacles is a reminder, and this is going to come up time and again this Aries season, that it is about the little details. It's about adding little pieces to your tapestry every single day and allowing that to be the guiding light. So keep that in mind this Aries season. I think so often we think about fire energy as flamboyant and very large, and that's true. That is definitely a part of it and can be really beautiful. But fire energy is also, that candlelight in a dark window. It is also very subtle. It is also about the consistency. So a reminder. Now, as we close out Aries season, we're going to have that full moon in Libra. We're going to be getting closer to Taurus season, obviously, and we're going to be entering some time where it is going to be about recalibrating. And like I mentioned with the Mars-Saturn conversation this month, and the fact that we're going to have both very powerful energy in Pisces and in Aries this Aries season, this is a time where we want to find balance. Temperance is a reminder that if we are pushing too hard, if we are burning the candle at both ends, if we are holding ourselves tight, getting anxious, getting tight, getting worried, overthinking, trying to control, step back, cool down that fire, right? Cool down that thought. So often I think with something like Aries season, which is in flow because the sun's so happy here, because it's a new astrological year, because there's this fresh start feeling, it can often feel like we have to gird ourselves up and force it to be a really good Aries season. The Temperance card is a reminder not to put that pressure on yourself. Relax a little bit more in those places where you're feeling that sense of control and domination that are wanting to come in to make the things happen, make you worthy, make you successful. The Temperance card is going to be about that. It's also a reminder not to burn your fire out. Take care of it, tend to it, be with it, allow it to be refilled by something bigger than just your little I am self, because that is beautiful. Love on that I am self, and then remember that it's okay. That's not all you are. And once we put I am in the context of all of that, it's a much healthier I am. It's a much less despairing, lonely I am. And that is something I think we all need, right? Because we all have had those moments where we're just sitting, 2 a.m. or first thing when we get up, or whenever you have a sensitive time during the day, and just feel that despair of this little I am in this world and not knowing how to fathom it. And it's a reminder that that's one part of it, but it's only one part of it. It's not the whole picture. And in letting go of this need to be the perfect I am, to be the most active I am, to be the most out there I am, allows us to actually be the I am we each need to be in this life. And that's going to be unique for every single one of you. Even everybody out there who has an Aries sun or a lot of Aries in their chart, they're each going to have their own way of expressing their Aries spirit and fire. So I hope this was helpful. I had a lot of fun actually just taking the time to explore these energies. There was so much to cover. I think I'll probably get a better hang of how I want to do each of these season chats as we go. So the next time we have one of these, it will be for Taurus season, one of my favorite energies. Also a very important energy right now because we are working with Uranus and Taurus and it is affecting our collective evolution. So it's going to be a potent one as well. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know how you thought about this. And yes, I will see you very, very shortly for our monthly sign by sign readings. And like I said, I'm hoping there I'll be able to focus so much more on the intuitive message for each of you. And then we'll have like a nice rounded feel for Aries season. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you very, very soon.